Hey Amy, it's Nick Grant. Hope this finds you well. Okay, I'm gonna show you Unbalanced. I just sent you an invite, so you should get that invite and you should accept. And then when you log in, you're gonna see either like all this stuff. Wherever you go, you want to go to your default client that has this faded out image, and then you click on it. It's gonna bring you to Kung Fu. Don't worry about RWN, but ZB and ZW. So these are the groups, okay? If you click on ZW, these are all the active landing pages that we have going on right now. You can tell that FB's for Facebook, and I've put that in the URL as well. And then these others are for AdWords. And the idea here is when we're inside, for example, AdWords, the idea is we have one landing page per ad group. So, for example, in Zen Wellness, we only have two ad groups that are open, that are live, but we have 5 total landing pages, and so that's really what you're seeing here. We have 5 landing pages inside Unbalanced, one per ad group, and then I've named the URL roughly the same name as the ad group so that I can go back and make a correlation between the two. The same thing is true with Facebook. So one of the great things about this is to clone a page, you can click on this little down arrow and you can hit duplicate page. And it takes everything that was on that page and then it allows you to duplicate it over, including the Infusionsoft integration, okay? So when we click on this and we go into this page, this is ZW Next Steps. You change the URL right here, okay? It's as simple as just coming in and making this whatever you want. And because this has a unique name, go.zenwellness.com, we're not going to run into any of the same URL problems that we have on the site with other pages. So you can rename these the same pages that we have on other sites. You can rename the step up here. So I named this ZW Step 2, okay? You'll notice here that we have to publish the page, so it's not yet published. You'll notice here, this is where you email new leads. So for Jason, for example, this is where it's going, but a new ZW PPC lead, what we're going to do is we're going to call this step 2, or we'll call this survey. We'll call this new ZW PPC survey lead. Okay, and we'll update the settings. And of course, you can go back and change that if that's something that Jason wants. And then down here, we have our Infusionsoft integration. You want to make sure that this is checked. So we'll come back to this in just a second. But what you're going to do is you're going to come in, and this is our first variant. So what, we're going to call this our 2 questions. And then go ahead and click on Edit the page. And then inside Unbalanced is the editor. Now what's great about this is this is double click. You'll notice that in here everything's white, so that's why it's showing up this way. But this is a pretty sweet, pretty intuitive editor. So you'll notice that here's like your custom icons, social media widgets, buttons, text, box, page section, etc. And that's what all this stuff is, right? These are text boxes. This is a form. If you double click into the form itself, you've got your fields, and literally you can just drag over a text. We actually got to edit it first. Hold on a second. So we'll edit the form fields. Yeah, so same spot. You can double click or whichever. So then you can make a custom drop down. What is going on with this? There we go. So as I create my untitled menu, right? So here's my labels, here's my menu choices. So if let's say that this is one of our questions, okay? I'm just gonna give you a quick example. This is question number 1. Well, what happens is we want to hide the label because we don't want the question to come above it, right? Um, what we really want is we want it just to come in like inside. We'll get back to that in just a sec. But you want to hide the label, and then here are your choices. So these are going to be the 4 choices that Jason brought up. Choice number 1, and you're just going to add these down. Choice number 2, choice number 3, Okay, and the thing is these choices have to be exactly the same as they are inside Infusionsoft. So what I do to ensure that they're the same inside Infusionsoft, and actually I'm going to jump out of this screen and go into the next screen. Because what we're doing, Amy, is we're taking this data, and then we're going to pass this data in through Infusion through the API, and we want to pass the data into the contact record. Well, in order to pass the data to the contact record, the data has to be exact. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll go to my admin settings, and I'll come in here, and of course I'm at my custom fields, and I'll hit go. Then once I'm inside the custom field, I'll find my drop down. So for example, my ZW lead, and I'll click on edit, which brings up like all my lead statuses, and then I'll copy each one, and then I'll paste it in here as an option. That way I know for a fact like it's going to go in exactly the same way as inside Infusionsoft, okay? Now, you don't want any spaces. You want to make sure that this is space free and everything else. So once you're done with this, you hit done. And here, of course, is your drop down. Not yet contacted, etc. Okay. So let's hit done again. Okay, so they do have the email fields above it. So let's go ahead and put on here. We'll click on this. We're not going to hide this. This is what do you ... and we'll hit done. Now, so what's cool about this form now is like on this, we don't need our first name. We don't need our last name. We want to keep email. Okay. We want to hide. We actually want the email to become a hidden field. Okay. We'll come back to this here in just a second. The phone we don't need, and the password we don't need, because this is all information that we asked on the previous screen. So really what we want to do is we want this to be the email, and then we're going to pass through a JavaScript the email value. And on this guy, we're actually going to remove this. Yeah, we'll actually just leave this as is. So just leave the email there for now. It'll auto-populate for the person so they can see it again. So this is your one question. You do a custom drop-down. Notice that you have some other stuff in here. We'll just do another drop-down. This is where you create, what do you, number 2, question 2, and then of course you can have your first menu choice is not a valid choice, which will say something like select one. So there you go, question 2, what do you, question 2. And this is where if you wanted to put the name of the question inside the form, you can. So right now it's pulling in question 2 as like the name here, right? So if we double click on this, yeah, first menu choice is not a valid value. There you go. So what you're going to do is you're going to come in and you're going to kind of redesign this page. And so this is where you can have something with like, hey, tell me a little bit more. You can easily just kill this video. You can take this box, you can move this box around wherever you want, get the exercises now. This is where on the right hand side we can have, this becomes pretty easy at this point, right? So, of course, if you want to change your button, if you click on the button on the right hand side, this is where your text is for the label. Start my free membership. This is the color stuff right here. So this is it's a pretty cool builder. If you want to know where this page is going to when someone clicks on the button, if you just click on the form and you don't double click in, it brings up the URL right here. So this is like right now, this is where we're sending people. So when a person clicks in, all pages are going to this page, which is debatable on whether or not we want to continue to do that. So anyway, hopefully this gives you just a little bit of an overview of how this page looks and feels and works. You can of course take this, and you'll notice that you can move this up and down. I mean, it's pretty sweet. So in here you can say, hey, next steps. To activate this, all text happens at the bottom. Okay, highlight it so you can see it in white. Then you can change the color from white to like black for right now if you need to, just so that you can see it, or you can highlight it until you're done editing it, and then you can highlight it, unhighlight it, so automatic no fill back to normal. That's an easy way to do it as well. So anyway, and of course these are your images and text boxes and all sorts of other really cool stuff. But when you're done, you're going to save this sucker, and then basically you're going to jump back out. And this has, like, if I notice I didn't save anything, so if I were to jump back in, it puts it right back to where it was. So kind of keep that in mind, okay? So you want to make sure that you save it beforehand. With this, once we're done, what we're going to do is we're going to take this URL, okay? And we're going to come in, and on every one of these pages, this is where it's going to go. So I'm going to go into my Learn Qigong Facebook page. I'm going to click Edit. I'm going to click on the form. And I'm going to highlight the URL and replace it. And you want to make sure that you append the form data so that we pass the email address to the next form. Okay, so that's our biggest thing right there. So that's for ZW, and then of course that is also for ZBB. So there's your step 2 ZBB form, ZBB next steps. So if you have questions, let me know. I'm sure you will. If you can tackle the aesthetics and just getting this thing up and going, the Infusionsoft piece should be all integrated the way that it needs to be. And then once you're done, publish the page, take the URL, copy the URL, and then again for ZBB, paste it across all these other ZBB URLs that exist. So leave that for ZW and ZBB, and then I can help you get all that up to speed. So reach out as you need to, call me if you need to, and we'll go from there. Good luck.